Welcome back viewers. In the last two videos we have seen the Geekbench test been performed on Linux Mint 22.2 Zara, and we have tested the Licorice kernel as well as the generic HW kernel that is available in the Ubuntu and Linux Mint repos. And in today's video we are going to do the test on Xanmod kernel. So we have installed the Xanmod kernel in between the two videos, and in this video we are going to check out the performance results for the Xanmod kernel that is installed on my system, that is Linux Mint 22.2. So let us start. You have to open the terminal in the folder where the Geekbench bin files are located, and you have to start the test. Before that, I just want to show you the Xanmod kernel. So here you can see the Xanmod kernel should be visible. Okay, so it is not visible right now, but I have booted into the Xanmod kernel and it should show up. Yes, it is visible here. You can see here, this is the Xanmod kernel. It is there. I thought maybe it was not available because the DKMS failed to install during the installation of the Xanmod kernel. But anyway, DKMS is not going to interfere with this list, and Xanmod is available and shown on this list. So we are going to do the test on Xanmod kernel, and let us start the test. So this is the system information, Linux Mint 22.2 Zara, and the kernel is 6.16.11-x64v3. Since this is a Zen 2 architecture of the AMD Ryzen 5 4600H, that is the high performance CPU available on my system. So for this CPU, the version 3 Xanmod kernel is suitable. 64-bit version 3 Xanmod kernel for the Zen 2 architecture is suitable for my AMD Ryzen 5 4600H processor. So I have installed this. So there are versions 1, 2, 3. So you have to install the correct version of Xanmod kernel on your system. Otherwise, possibly the system will give low performance or it may not work together. So that you have to take the risk, but best is to install the correct version of Xanmod kernel. So that is given on the website. All instructions are given. You have to just follow the instructions. And now the single core tests have started, and the same sequence of tests will be repeated both for the single core as well as the multi-core test. The test sequence will remain the same. All the individual tests will be done in the same sequence for single core as well as the multi-core. Now the multi-core test have started. So the test have completed, and now the link will come up to check out the scores. Let us open the link. First thing, we are going to save this link. Okay, so the scores for single core is 1121 and for the multi-core it is 3100. This is the Xanmod kernel. Now we can check out first the single core results. This is the upload date, this is the operating system and the model of my laptop, and this is the CPU information. This is the RAM size, and now the single core performance results have come up on the screen. You can take a good look at the scores. Now I will go a little bit down. Take a look at the structure from motion score. Now I will go down to the multi-core test scores. You can take a look at the scores for the individual test in multi-core. Finally, the structure from motion score. Now we can compare this with the first, that is the Licorice kernel. So in Licorice kernel, the single core score was 977. Right now it is 1121. So Xanmod kernel gives better performance in single core than compared to the Licorice kernel, and in the generic kernel the scores is 983. So Xanmod kernel gives better scores than the generic kernel for single core. So to conclude, Xanmod kernel is better than Licorice and generic kernel for the single core results single core scores in Linux Mint 22.2 Zara. Now comparing the multi-core score. So here for the Xanmod it is 3108. For the Liquorix it is 3506. While in generic kernel it is 3323. So the best scores for multi-core are given by the Liquorix kernel. Then comes the generic kernel, and the Xanmod kernels gives the minimum scores for multi-core, that is 3108. So best score is 3506. So this is to conclude, and if you want I will just show you the individual scores. So here you can check the single core performance results for the Liquorix kernel. You check this. Now I will change over to the generic kernel. You can check this also. Now I will change over to the Xanmod kernel. You can check this also. This is the Liquorix kernel, this is the generic kernel, and this is the Xanmod kernel. So now we will change over to multi-core scores. This is the Liquorix kernel. These are the scores for the Liquorix kernel. Take a good look. Now I will change over to the generic kernel for multi-core scores. You can check this out. This is the multi-core scores for the generic kernel. Take a good look. Now I will change over to the Xanmod kernel multi-core performance scores. Take a good look. So I think now you have got a good idea which kernel will give you better performance. So you have to use that kernel that will improve your productivity on your system. The system will give more productivity, consuming the minimum amount of power, and boost up your work. So on this note I will stop the video here. See you in the next video. Bye bye.